it's time to look at the top 15 largest planes ever made. Number 15. Tupolev Tu-160 Blackjack. Developed by the Tupolev Design Bureau during the 1980s, the Tu-160 Blackjack remains the largest and heaviest combat aircraft to ever be built, as well as the largest and heaviest plane ever created that flies faster than Mach 2, and the fastest bomber ever. It was the last strategic bomber to be designed for the Soviet Union, and to this day there are still at least 16 of these aircraft in active use in the Russian Air Force's long-range aviation branch. First entering service in 1987, the Tu-160 requires a 4-person crew, which is made up of a pilot, a co-pilot, a bombardier, and a defensive systems officer. It's a massive 177 feet long, has a wingspan of up to 183 feet, and is powered by 4 Samara NK321 afterburning turbofan engines that produce 55,000 pounds of force with each afterburner. This gives the Blackjack a top speed of 1,380 miles per hour, which is the equivalent of Mach 2.05, with a range of up to 7,600 miles without the use of in-flight refueling. What's particularly impressive is that it's able to achieve this speed with a full armament inside its 2 internal weapons bays, which it can carry almost 100,000 pounds of ordnance, which can include cruise missiles or short-range nuclear missiles. Number 14. The Stratolaunch. Designed by Scaled Composites for Stratolaunch Systems, which is a space transportation company co-founded by Paul Allen, a co-founder of Microsoft. The Stratolaunch is a huge aircraft that was intended to carry air-to-orbit rockets to a high enough altitude that they require far less fuel to reach orbit. Currently, only one has been built, and it's only performed one test flight in 2019. And unfortunately, since the death of Paul Allen, the company has focused its efforts elsewhere. Stratolaunch remains one of the most unique and impressive aircraft to ever fly, though, and it's almost unbelievable. Designed around a twin fuselage configuration, each of which are 238 feet long and has a total of 28 landing gear wheels to support it while it's on the ground. Its wingspan is 385 feet, which is longer than a football field, and even though there are 2 cockpits, the flight crew only operate it from one on the right-hand side. Powered by 6 Pratt & Whitney PW4056 engines, each of which produces 56,000 pounds of force each. The plane is able to carry a payload of up to 250 tons to an altitude of up to 35,000 feet. This is easily enough to transport satellites and a launch vehicle, and if the project is continued, could provide a more cost-effective way for smaller satellite launches to take place. Number 13. Boeing 747-8. The 747 is the most recognizable passenger aircraft ever designed, and it's credited with changing the face of passenger transport forever. The first version was released in 1970, but with ever-improving technologies, the designs have changed substantially over the years. The 747-8 is the largest of all the variants, which is available for both cargo and passenger uses, and first entered service in 2011. At 250 feet 2 inches long and a wingspan of 224 feet 7 inches, it has a capacity of up to 467 people in 3 classes, or a payload of up to 137 tons. Powered by 4 engines that produce a thrust of up to 66,000 pounds of force, the plane has a cruising speed of 568 miles per hour and has a range of up to 8,900 miles. To give an idea of the improvement this represents, on the recommended passenger configuration, the 747-8 can carry 51 more passengers or 2 more freight loads than previous versions of the 747, while at the same time being 30% quieter, 16% more fuel efficient, and according to Boeing, being the world's fastest commercial jet. All of this was possible by making a series of subtle changes along with larger alterations, such as lengthening the upper deck, using a curved staircase to offer more room, curving the overhead bins, and using solid-state LED lighting to reduce power consumption. Number 12. McDonnell Douglas KC-10 Extender. Designed by McDonnell Douglas, the KC-10 Extender is a military aircraft designed specifically to refuel other planes while still in the air. Based on the company's DC-10 aircraft, the first KC-10 Extender entered service in 1981, and they're still relied upon today. With as much onboard space dedicated to storage tanks as possible, the KC-10 can carry up to 356,000 pounds of fuel and features a specialized centerline refueling boom, as well as a drogue and hose system that's installed on the rear of the fuselage on the starboard side. Even with the latest technology, mid-air refueling is still a complicated process, so this requires a dedicated crew member to operate the equipment, while 2 pilots and an engineer work from the cockpit. The plane can also carry up to 75 passengers along with up to 25 pallets of cargo, and has 3 General Electric turbofan engines that produce 52,000 pounds of force of thrust each. This means that the aircraft, which is 181 feet long and a wingspan of 165 feet, is able to reach a top speed of 538 miles per hour, with a range of up to 4,400 miles when fully laden with fuel and cargo. Number 11. Airbus A380-800. To compete with Boeing's dominance of large-capacity passenger transport market, Airbus designed the A380, which, when it entered service in 2007, became the world's largest passenger airliner. With a length of 238 feet and a wingspan measuring 261 feet, it's a full-length double-decker aircraft that, in its usual configuration, has a capacity of 525 passengers, but this can easily be increased up to 853 passengers. The plane is powered by 4 Trent turbofan engines that produce 78,000 pounds of thrust each, and this gives it a typical cruising speed of 561 miles an hour and a range of 9,200 miles. Developing an aircraft like this is an incredibly costly endeavor, and unfortunately for Airbus, it seems unlikely the company will ever recoup the $25 billion spent on it. With changing needs in the airline industry, companies are favoring smaller and more cost-effective aircraft that offer better fuel economy, and the age of huge passenger jets seems to be coming to an end. Although the Airbus has successfully delivered 246 A380s, the coronavirus pandemic put an end to any further orders. It's been officially announced that the aircraft will cease production during 2021, after the current order slate is fulfilled. Number 10. Antonov An-225 Mriya. Created by the Antonov Design Bureau for use by the Soviet Union Air Force, the An-225 Mriya first entered service in 1986 as a heavy transport aircraft. The idea was that it would be able to carry huge loads and was the heaviest production cargo aircraft in the world for 30 years. Still in service for the Russian Air Force, it's the largest military transport aircraft used by any nation on Earth and can amazingly transport up to 170 tons of cargo. Requiring a crew of 6, which includes a pilot, a co-pilot, a navigator, chief engineer, electrical engineer, and radio operator, and 2 loadmasters at airports, the plane is 226 feet long, has a wingspan of 240 feet, and also has room for up to 88 passengers in the upper aft fuselage. It's also powered by 4 Progress D18T high-bypass turbofan engines, which each produce 51,000 pounds of thrust, and can fly at a cruising speed of 537 miles per hour across a maximum distance of 2,300 miles with a maximum payload. Despite its size and weight, it's said by pilots to be relatively easy to fly, and that's one of the reasons that of the 55 that have been built, 26 are still in service after being upgraded from their original design. Number 9. Boeing C-17 Globemaster III. McDonnell Douglas, which merged with Boeing in 1997, designed the C-17 Globemaster III in the 1980s to provide the U.S. military with a newly designed heavy transport aircraft. The model first entered service in 1995, and in total 279 were built before production ended in 2015. They're now used by a number of different militaries around the world, and have been found to be particularly reliable without needing anywhere near as much maintenance as other aircraft designed for a similar role. The C-17 is 174 feet long and has a wingspan of just under 170 feet, and is powered by 4 Pratt & Whitney F-117 turbofan engines, which each produce 40,000 pounds of thrust. With 2 pilots and a loadmaster, the planes can fly at a cruising speed of 520 miles per hour, with a range of up to 2,700 miles with a full payload, and can carry cargo that weighs up to 85 tons. Depending on the configuration, it can also be used to transport 102 paratroopers, 54 injured patients along with medical staff, or large vehicles like an M1 Abrams tank, or 3 ICV Strykers. The capability of the Globemaster III has led it to becoming an important workhorse for all branches of the military, and while the process is underway to ultimately decide upon a successor to the design, the current fleet is expected to remain in operation for at least 20 or 30 years. Number 8. Hughes H-4 Hercules. The Hughes H-4 Hercules was the largest flying boat ever built, and until the first flight of the Stratolaunch in 2019, also held the record of having the widest wingspan of any aircraft. But what's perhaps most surprising